Navigating through the energies of New Earth is not an easy process and can become extremely overwhelming at times. As we all ascend into higher frequencies, we're all being guided to embrace our own unique divine pathway, a pathway created in the vibration of love. Join Vibe Nation radio host, international psychic medium Carrie Turcotte, as she guides her listeners to rediscover themselves by accessing the keys of knowledge that already exist within. Each week's show is divinely orchestrated to intertwine with the universal energies, allowing the listeners to go deeper within and understand the message being shared even greater. When you live in the frequency of love, there is no competition, so Carrie will be joined regularly by fellow soul family members who will bring forth wisdom and knowledge she knows should be shared on a global level. At the end of each show, Carrie will tap into the energies of the listeners to see what message Spirit wants to share with all those listening in for the upcoming week. If you really want to get to know who you truly are, come and join us now on Vibe Nation Radio, here on the IOM Radio Network.
Well, and as most of you are aware, I am Chris Anderson Onefeather, and I'm taking over Vibe Nation for the summer. We're calling it Indian Summer in reference to my Native American ancestry. A little tongue-in-cheek thing going on there. Today I have Dave Fishman as a guest, and we are going to be talking about Course in Miracles, what it is, and what you can expect once you start to enter into a study of the Course. But I thought I would start off the show here with a little quote from Charles Alexander Eastman, who is Santee, Dakota, and he was around from 1858 to 1939, a very revered Native American from the Plains Indian tribes. And his thought was, the wise man believes profoundly in silence, the sign of a perfect equilibrium. Silence is the absolute poise or balance of body, mind, and spirit. The man who preserves his selfhood ever calm and unshaken by the storms of existence, not a leaf, as it were, astride the tree, not a ripple upon the surface of the shining pool. This, in the mind of the unlettered sage, is the ideal attitude and conduct of life. Silence is a cornerstone of character. And so that pretty much is very much in alignment with a lot of Course in Miracles thinking. And so, Dave, how are things there on the Eastern Seaboard?
Really good. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Chris, for having me on your program. I was listening to what you were just sharing in that quote, and that seems to really sum up what it is that's really available and true for all of us. It's just a matter of sometimes of removing the blockages to our awareness of that inner peace.
Absolutely, yes. And for people who are not familiar with A Course in Miracles and what it offers and what the, I guess you could say, the ethic or the interior philosophy of A Course is, can you give us just kind of an overview of what A Course in Miracles is?
Sure. Basically, it's a self-study course in which there is a program, a minimum of 1 year to do the 365 lessons of the course, which are experiential lessons. The lessons are designed, I use the expression divinely designed, to train the mind to see things differently, so that the way that we see things without a course or any path that allows us to begin to go beyond the concepts that the conceptual mind literally lives in, and to train the mind to go beyond that, to see underneath what's actually being seen by the body's eyes and ears, kind of using our third eye, you might say, our spiritual eye, Sometimes you call it the third eye, the spiritual eye. There's all kinds of words for it. That it's intuition of the highest sense. It's your divine gift from the divine mind to see things as they truly are, rather than the way that we believe they are. And I don't know if that's helpful.
Well, yeah, it absolutely is, because it pushes us away from that idea of of an inclination to try and fix things after they have occurred, and from the level of physicality. And it kind of shoves us back into that recognition that the mind is what has created the reality that we experience, and therefore if we want to change anything, we have to change our mind as kind of the fundamental cause and effect comprehension level.
Exactly. That's exactly what it is. It's shifting the mind from being at effect of this world we see outside of us to actually recognizing that we are cause, and there's a line in the Course in Miracles that actually says the world you see is an outside picture of an inner condition. So we keep coming up, you might say, doing the same things over and over again, usually, obviously, with different people in different forms, but there's that same pattern, and the pattern doesn't go away. There's an old saying, a lesson doesn't leave us until it's totally learned. And I think the very first lesson that we really have to come into contact with is that we are cause rather than a helpless or needy or victim, powerless self. That, as a matter of fact, we can choose to see things differently. That we are the dreamer, you might say, of the movie that we're watching. We are the scriptwriter, we're the director. We are, of course, in ego terms, we are the hero of the dream. But that's part of shifting the way we see things as we move from the individual self to our greater divine self.
Right. Now, the greater divine self, which is the collective self that we've slapped a label on as being God, generally is perceived by most people as being a fantasy journey into, a fantasy experience. And yet the Course in Miracles gives us this whole different focus in that everything is happening within the mind, but by being or attempting to be separate from the mind of the collective or of God, we have created a lot of the chaos that we are experiencing in our day lives. So how did you come into A Course in Miracles? When you first landed with the Course, what was your first take on it?
Well, I had done a couple of years prior to my finding the Course that kind of helped me accept the Course very easily. I had done some programs such as Werner Erhard's S way back in 1975, and done some advanced work there. Things that would have you begin to recognize that your ego is not your friend. And when you use the word ego, that's that voice that you listen to in your head that you think is your voice. And as I was able to not listen to that voice as much, but actually asked to see things differently, along came A Course in Miracles. It was published in '76 as 3 books. It was published then, and I came across it in '77, a year later. And I do thank my background that allowed me to see the value in it as I went through the early lessons. That, of course, without my background, I guess I would have probably picked up the books and then put them down and said, this is not for me. So it was helpful to me that I had done some earlier work.
Exactly. And it sounds like there was an exterior or not an exterior, but perhaps a higher force that was coordinating all of these events and perhaps giving you a little bit of a nudge forward with different things that showed up on the radar screen. So that would tell us that to some degree the Course is kind of a destiny experience that we have when we do encounter it, because we are ready for it at that point.
And that's so correct. Thank you so much, Chris, for bringing that out, because everything really happens by this divine design. It's divinely orchestrated. I'm not talking about in my life. I'm talking about in everyone's life, literally everyone. One of my favorite slogans is one that I have on my Facebook cover on Facebook as my cover picture. It says, we live in a sea of synchronicity within an ocean of love. That everything that happens literally perfectly, and everything is happening for us rather than the thought system that sees things as happening to us or against us.
And we'll be right back after this commercial break.
Your conscious lifestyle on steroids. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
Have you been searching for a perspective beyond the mainstream? Check it out. Join your hosts Cielito Pascual and Diana Gold Holland on Share International Radio for thought-provoking views behind the news, Sundays at 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern on OMTimes Radio. You can also find us at shareontheairradio.org. This may be the message of hope you've been waiting for.
How to be a great dad in 15 seconds. Bike ride, go fish, walk in the park, phone call, milkshake, play catch, picnic, fly a kite, tell jokes, laugh, talk, read a story, tell a story, bumper car, swing set, bowling, pillow fight, cut loose, stay tight. Whew. Because the smallest moments can have the biggest impact on a child's life. Take time to be a dad today. Call 877-4DAD-411 or visit fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
And we are back and having a chat with Dave Fishman. So, Dave, if everything is orchestrated, as we just were dialoguing about, then those of us who are out here actually working to share A Course in Miracles are, I guess you could say, directed to where we're supposed to be and given resources for what we're supposed to be doing. So how does the teaching of A Course in Miracles impact the lives of those that cross their path?
No, that's a great question. Obviously, it's a course to be lived rather than something to be studied and quote understood. It's something that I use as a way of living my life. I think there has to be some early desire to know the truth, to love the truth, and the truth is given to you. If your thoughts are how to get something or how to win something or how to be better, probably the Course may not either come to you, or you could probably maybe do it for a long period of time and not actually receive the value of the Course. The Course is a course for living it rather than studying it. So, and it takes time, of course. If you go through the Course lessons, it takes a minimum of a year to do that. So it took me 2.5 years the first time. After a while, you begin to recognize that the early lessons, the ones that seem, well, that doesn't really mean anything, or that each one of those lessons is really, in a way, the whole Course. But sometimes you have to go through the whole Course to recognize that each lesson is really incredible.
Yes, they are very intense. Go ahead.
I can give you a couple of examples, like lesson number 1 and 2. Lesson 1 is nothing I see here means anything, and then lesson 2 said, well, just in case you think anything here means something, just remember you're the one that's given all the meaning to it. And you can see how in life we have judgments and opinions of what's good and what's bad, what's right and what's wrong, and that's how we live our life, according to a set of values that we have kind of given value. Maybe we learned it from our parents. Maybe we kind of grew up in a community that harbored certain values. So this, in a way, is a way of wiping the slate clean, coming in with a clean slate, and looking at what's real and what's not real, and what has real value and what has no value whatsoever. And there's criteria for that. If something is of temporary value, that something begins in time and ends in time, and you value it, very possibly whatever you're valuing is valueless, because who we are is eternal. And living in the here and now, in the eternal now, things that are of temporary value really are things that we kind of are tempted. I use that word. We're tempted to kind of get attached to, thinking it's going to give us something, and it's almost like chumming the waters with bait, and we take the bait and we realize that even though we finally have gotten it after all that effort, it really is not what it is that we're really looking for. Other criteria for what has value and what has no value is if something that someone else has that I don't have, or something that I think that I have that someone else doesn't have. Again, we're coming to values in a world in the belief that we're all separate and different. And of course, in non-duality teachings, we aren't separate, we're different, and no one is more special or less special. So we begin to see the things that seem to have value in our earlier thinking. Those are blockages that we can kind of remove by recognizing they don't have any value to us anymore. We stop cherishing them, you might say.
Exactly. And, looking at that whole idea that you brought up of non-dualism, that's probably, from my perspective, the most profound recognition that a person is able to gain as they start to enter into the study of A Course in Miracles. We started off right before the program here with a news update, and everything that was being told to us about what is current in the world was based on division, on this person attacking that person, this person burning down that person's home, this person exiting, that person's coalition. So once we start to have that first glimmering that there's only one of us here, there is no true duality, that sets the stage for a whole different level of awareness and conduct in this material world. So as you have studied the Course, have you been able to really get a deeper experience of that oneness as a result of following what A Course in Miracles is trying to present to us?
Oh, yes. Thanks, Chris, for asking that. As you were asking the question, what came to me is, the golden rule, which is a golden thread that's woven throughout all the world's major religions, do unto others as you'd have others do unto you, happens to be probably the one idea in the Course. It's mentioned a lot of times, but mainly in Lesson 126. What I give to myself. It is repeated in other lessons, but that one I call the law of one, because in non-duality, it isn't that there's other people out there that either I'm competing with or I'm comparing myself. They have something, and if they have something that I want, I have to get it from them, or I have to steal it from them, or if they have it, I'm going to wage war on them, or I want to obliterate them, I want to destroy them. So in that thought system basically of fear, of anger, of guilt, of destruction, you might call it terror. All those words come from a thought system and the belief that we are all separate, apart, and different. But as you begin to make this shift between the way that we used to see things, or the way I used to see things, from seeing differences, different religions, different colors, different genders, different countries, different paths, different everything, to recognizing that those are the ideas of specialness, or the ideas of sacrifice, and we make one person or one thing more important than another. And that one idea of specialness and sacrifice is the one idea behind all the world's pain, suffering, grief, lack, scarcity, starvation, poverty, and death. That as we begin to make this shift between seeing things as different from seeing separation as real, to recognizing that the function of love is not I love you, but the function of love is our oneness. Love is like a glue that contains all, that includes all equally, as the divine sees all as equal, not different. So that's part of the idea of shifting the mind's purpose from seeing differences, which is another way of saying I want to survive, I want the best, I want more, I got to get more, to shifting the mind to recognizing that you already have everything, that what's valuable already belongs to, that peace that you were talking about at the beginning of the show is already inherent in all of us. We have to just remove the blockages to our awareness of that presence, that love presence.
Yeah, and that can sometimes be a very challenging job, because we have managed to create this idea of an ego that is really entrenched in every level of human society. And of course the most immediate example is all the different ways that we interpret God, that we perceive God. So as we're starting off with A Course in Miracles, what would you say is probably the most immediate recognition that we experience as far as that idea of 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 different gods out there all stirring the pot?
Well, for me personally, I feel, of course, we're all divinely led, and even though I've been doing the Course for many years, I was fortunate, I'll use that word, divinely led, you might say, to very early pick up a line from the Course, which is located in a chapter 15, section 11. It's called Christmas as the End of Sacrifice, and I was caught by the last couple of lines in that 3 or 4 page section. It was all in italics. It says, "Make this year different by making it all the same." So I think for me, and I think each teacher has their own way of their own path, you might say. In fact, the Course says there is a highly individualized curriculum for every teacher of God. For me, I guess I came from a background of inequality, where I was a lone minority for many, many years. Where I went to a school where I was the only Jewish kid in 800 students, and coming from that kind of a minority, I guess that was the perfect lesson for me to learn. So the reason I guess this popped out of this book, the book is 1,300 pages if you take all 3 books combined. And when I saw Make This Year Different by making it all the same, and you might say at that particular point, which was a number of years ago, I guess I didn't realize what I was doing at the time, but as you begin to see equality, to see things as the same, the mind that makes distinctions, the mind that sees differences or inequalities and even injustices or unfairness, that those things begin to melt away. I mean, the ego mind certainly sees injustices, it certainly sees inequality and unfairness, but these are the temptations that kind of pull us into differences.
Right. Well, we've got another commercial here, and we'll move forward.
Okay.
Free your mind with OMTimes Radio, IOM FM. Have you ever wondered how to change your love paradigm? The secret key is finding a love partnership, not just a regular connection. How do you find these? Through conscious relationships. Ascending Hearts Dating is a dating site for people like you that believes in second chances and a different type of spiritual connection. Try Ascending Hearts for free today at ascendinghearts.com and change your love paradigm. Ascending Hearts, the premier dating community for the spiritually awake.
Eros Evolution is where sexuality and spirituality meets. Join me, clinical sexologist Martha Tara Lee, on Eros Evolution on Thursdays, 4 p.m. Eastern on OMTimes Radio.
When Dad needed help getting around, I became his driver. Soon enough, it was up to me to be his housekeeper and financial manager, too. When he moved in, I became his cook and even his nurse. But no matter what roles I play, I know I'm still his daughter.
We understand the roles you play. So to help, we created aarp.org/caregiving, where you can connect with experts and other caregivers. Visit aarp.org/caregiving. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
And we are back, and I am having a discussion with Dave Fishman about A Course in Miracles. And Dave, one of the things that really impacted me when I was kind of launching into my journey with A Course in Miracles was that statement that in order to learn, you have to teach. And, that is a glaring glaringly backwards kind of idea compared to what we grow up with. But it does seem that the Course opens us up to, I don't want to say channel because that sounds a little bit mundane or a little bit woo-woo, but at the same time, we do seem to become aware of a voice that instructs us, that gives us directions. Has that been the case for you too? Have you found that that was one of the more profound parts of entering into a course?
Yes. As a matter of fact, I think that's probably one of my major focus in sharing the course. Those people that do come to me in one form or another, meaning that I meet them in the course, and I always encourage them to take their place among the teachers. Now, the reason for that is that the one that we're really teaching is ourself. And I know it may sound like, but what do you mean? Because we're so used to being in a world where we're sitting at some desk or in some audience, and somebody is pounding something into our head. The original word for education comes from the Greek edukar, which means to draw out. So it's not only do we already have everything that we need, we don't need even reading the book is like an outside influence, you might say, but it's just giving us a crutch, you might say, to actually begin to develop trust, and that's the key word that I share. And of the 10 characteristics of God's teachers, the first is trust, and it's the only one that we're really responsible for, to develop trust that everything is already given to you. That as a matter of fact, I don't really need to know what to say or what to do. In fact, there's that wonderful line in the course on page 28. It says, "I'm here only to be truly helpful," and that's true for all of us. I don't care whether you're doing the course or you're not doing the course. Everyone is here, really in collaboration with everyone. Now, if you see that you're in conflict, you're listening to a teacher of separation and conflict, but in truth, we are all in this together. There's really one of us in many different disguises and forms, but we're all doing this together. So as I develop trust, I can say, well, I don't really know what to say or what to do, and that's exactly what the Course says. Say, I do not know what to say or what to do, but He who sent me will direct me. And that's true. Our higher self is always there, giving us the next thought, the next word, which literally means you don't have to plan anything. Because if you're planning something, that's the thought of the thought system that says, well, you don't have anything, so you better do all your work and research so that you can look good. And of course, that's the thought system of looking good, which is a very defensive thought system. And if you're defending yourself, you're already attacking yourself, because who you are needs no defense. There's no wonder that the lesson just before I am among the ministers of God, I am among the teachers of God, it says, in my defenselessness my safety lies. So it's my willingness to trust my higher self to already give me what it is that I am here to share. And you're always sharing it, really. As I said earlier, the law of one is what I give, I'm giving to myself. So the one who needs to learn is the one who is basically teaching exactly as you said. Exactly as you said.
Right, and that loops back into that idea of the one single theme that comes up over and over again, especially in biblical context, for those people who've read the Bible, is that idea of trust. And I think that like King David was one of the people that kind of stood out with his capacity to trust, with his ability to just allow things to unfold as they needed to. But within that idea of trust, how do you get beyond the ego's fear of victimization, of being the recipient of the bad side of the situation, whatever the situation might be? Is there kind of an easy step that we can take to transcend the ego and perhaps see it in a more powerless state so that we can, take that next step forward?
Well, yes. The ego, of course, is the belief that you are all alone, that you're separate and apart, and you're doing this by yourself. That's where all the fear is. And I think the key lesson on that is lesson 47 in the Course, which says, God is the strength in which I trust. Now, the word God is really your true self, your higher self, your divine self. You're really trusting in yourself. You're really having full faith that you are the perfect holy child of God that is created in eternity. So if you're trusting in your little small self, the body that was born, lives, and dies, as he says in the very first paragraph of that lesson, if you're trusting in yourself, you have a lot to be anxious and have anxiety about. There's a lot to fear, because who are you to be trusted? You can't be trusted. You know that. But if you're trusting, you're having faith. Now, the word is faith, having trust and faith in something greater than yourself. And that's really what this Course is about, having something to recognize that you're not who you think you are. You made yourself to be this body, this person that is born, that lives and dies, but that's not what you are. To have faith that who you are is much greater than anything you could ever imagine or believe. Notice the very next lesson to that, lesson 48, is the shortest lesson in the entire Course, and that's the one that says, there is nothing to fear. This is a fact. Now, the first time through the Course, you may say, well, that's what the Course says, but, I don't know if I'm ready to do this. If you're listening to that voice that is not your friend, the voice in your head that you think is your voice, that is the voice of fear. There's no two ways about it. It's always telling you that this is not for you, that there's other people who are better than you, and you don't want to make a fool of yourself and to look silly. That's the voice of fear that's always speaking to you. So part of the Course is to recognize and discern between that voice for fear and the voice for love. And the voice for love is that divine guidance, spiritual eye that's always here with us and for us. But we have to kind of quiet our mind to hear it. So as you know, it does take practice. These things don't happen overnight, but if somebody is truly willing to hear the truth, they will hear the truth.
Yeah, that is a beautiful perspective to look at the Course from. But as you were speaking there, I could kind of pick up in the collective conscious a little bit of a bubble around that idea of that statement that you made that you are God. Because by the standards of modern society and ancient society and pretty much all society, that's just out and out blasphemy to make a statement that is that bold. How are you able to justify a statement like that?
Well, the word God probably is a label that basically is the idea that something is separate from us, but the Course is really a way of recognizing that we are cause rather than effect. There's a number of lines in the Course that says nowhere does it say the Father ends and the Son begins. So the only difference between original cause, first cause, and what he creates, which is the sons of God, the sonship, creation, is that we didn't create God. God created us. As Voltaire once said, God created us in his image, and we return the favor. So we have made out of God, well, he's a moody God. I hope he gives me this, and I hope he gives me that, and let me pray to God for this, and let me pray to God for that. I usually say the only prayer that's really worth praying is thy will be done, because we are of one will. The whole idea of God's will is separate from my will, and I have to kind of get his favor is actually a thought system based in separation, where the Father and the Son are not the same. One of the great lessons in the Course is God's will. It's lesson 101. God's will for me is perfect happiness, but that's also my will is perfect happiness. In other words, it's not as God's will for me is perfect happiness, and I have to finally, work myself up to finally receive his approval. No, we are of one will. Non-duality is oneness. It's oneness. It's not two-ness. It's oneness.
That definitely eliminates a lot of the theologies out there, because they are based in that idea of separation, and the first level of separation is seeing God is over there and man is over here, and that kind of loops into this next thing I would like to chat with you about, which is the whole idea of what are the boundaries, what are the limitations, what is the parameters of God. If God and man are united as one, as the Course tells us, where do we exist? And we'll come back right after this commercial break, and you can give us some insight.
Okay.
Bringing you the best of the conscious minds in the world. OMTimes Radio, your conscious lifestyle on steroids. Being a radio host on IOM-FM allows you to build your show on a rich platform with the power of the Internet to fulfill your outreach goals and connect with a very specialized and global online audience, unlimited by time and distance. OMTimes Radio will provide you with web relevance, a recognizable conscious brand, and with the standard of excellence that has accompanied every single OMTimes endeavor. Host your show with OMTimes Radio Network.
Dr. Kevin here, and I want to invite you every Thursday, 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern, to join me on the Dr. Kevin Show, where we have a diversity of guests who help you step outside the box, behind the curtain, and see what a load of crap is going on in the world today, so you have more information with which to make better decisions. We'll see you there. Namaste.
Hello, I'm John Lithgow. Manatees are unique, among the most amazing animals on Earth, but they're endangered. We pose the greatest threat to their survival. Many manatees are killed or injured by boats or other recreational activities. I'm a writer of children's books, including one about manatees, and I believe education is the key. You can be part of the solution. Please contact Save the Manatee Club right now. Call 1-800-432-JOIN. Thank you.
And we are back with Dave Fishman talking about A Course in Miracles and the central theme of A Course, which is God. And I had posed the question, what are the limitations or boundaries, or, what is the nature of the existence of God? Because here in this material universe, we're always limited by beginnings and endings. And how can we really look at God from God's perspective of itself?
Well, the boundaries or the limitations are the ones that we place on ourselves. It was Richard Bach, the guy who wrote the book Illusions, and Jonathan Livingston Seagull, who said, we argue for our own limitations. So the thought system that we're born with, which is the ego thought system that does see, you might say, through tunnel vision, seeing others as separate and different, and always kind of competing, trying to get something that it lacks. The world that we live in works on the basis of lack and trying to get more. And of course, out of that kind of a thought system, which is a thought system that we're born into, that is a purpose that is our own boundaries. We're always trying to get what we don't have, and even when we get it, we need more, and it's a never-ending cycle. The Course has many other paths like it. The only reason I do the Course is that this Course saves time. A miracle can save 1,000 years by the way you count time. So, of course, when I saw that, I said, "Boy, this Course is for me." You know, why keep coming back and doing the same thing over and over again, getting the same result? As Albert Einstein said, that's what insanity is. The Course is simply about recognizing that this presence, this divine presence, is always here. But we only have one function. It says your function is not to learn what love is. That's beyond the scope of this Course, because you are love. It doesn't say that, but it says your only function is to remove the blockages to your awareness of love's presence. And you might say that's the only thing that we're really here for, is to empty your mind of past decisions, judgments, opinions, beliefs. It's the belief. I always like to say, if you look at the word belief, every belief has a lie in it. B-E-L-I-E-F. There's a lie in every belief. So the conceptual world that's based on, well, this is good and this is bad, and I want to be right and others are wrong. That thought system just perpetuates the idea of separation, differences, and the world just keeps spinning round and round, doing the same thing over and over. You might say that the Course is the idea of removing these, which you might say is emptying your mind of all of this, and that's your happiest accomplishment. There's a line in Lesson 44 that says, salvation is your happiest accomplishment. It's also the only one that has any meaning, because it's the only one that has any real use to you at all. So you might say all the other things that we think have use to us, like, well, I want to, get so much of this, so much of that. And I'm not even talking about money. I'm just talking about, to be the best at this and the best at that. There is no being best or more or greater than we are all the same, equal, which is that line that came to me very early in the Course. As we begin to see the oneness, the equality, the sameness, you get to see that the mind's idea of trying to be the best or better, or to win at the expense of others losing, to be right, that the other is wrong, that all that is part of the conflict that we see in the world today.
Yes, and we are definitely seeing conflict being amped up in the world today. So how do we deal with conflict? How do we deal with all of this madness that is going on around us? I know that, one of the big tenets of the Course is forgiveness, but when you have, a cousin that gets blown up in a car bomb, how are you able to address that without getting trapped in that whole idea of, somebody hurt me or somebody hurt somebody that I love?
Well, if you believe that you are this body, if you believe that the world's idea of separation and differences is real, then probably something like that will only drive you further into fear, when in truth there is nothing to fear. I was listening to you on the radio a couple of weeks back, and I heard you. I thought you gave a beautiful expression on forgiveness, because you're never really forgiving somebody outside of you, which is what the world, the Course calls that forgiveness to destroy. Like, I forgive you this time, please don't do it again, or I'll kill you next time. No, that's the ego's idea forgiveness. The forgiveness of the Course is recognizing that my own thoughts are faulty, that I am mistaken about the way I have been seeing things, and yes, I want to remove those thoughts from my mind. But I actually heard you bring it even to the highest level that I have ever heard, and you said, exactly as Einstein says, you cannot solve a problem at the same level the problem started. So you have to bring yourself to a higher level, and I heard you say that's what forgiveness does. It as the Course says, forgiveness looks and does nothing. You might say, and the guy that gave me my early start prior to the Course, Werner Erhard, he actually says, listen, in this world, you're either at effect of the way things are, and it's like a wheel or a cog in a wheel, I should say, and it's always like a row of dominoes, that they all fall together, and you're always at effect. You're reacting to the world, and basically the world is like a machine. It just keeps doing the same thing over and over again. I mean, war has been going on since man came on the planet. There's like never a time that man is not at war. Whether it's an all-out war, it's a partial war, or he's at war with himself. So the world is a world of conflict. The way out of the conflict, as you mentioned, forgiveness lifts you up to above the battleground, where you look and see that what you were looking on, which is the devastation and the terror and the fear, is not real. If you think it's real, then you're right back in the same place, and there's nothing that you can do to get out of it except to practice something like A Course in Miracles, which can save you time, or some other path that allows you to recognize, and there's so many, the paths of meditation and contemplation and the Eastern gurus of self-inquiry, that they all pretty much do the same thing, to look within and see this peaceful, quiet place within yourself. I always say to people that I counsel, your true teacher is your divine self. Instead of asking someone outside of you, thinking that someone outside of you has something that you don't have, which is, again, the ego thought system, look within and ask your true teacher, your divine teacher, your spiritual I, whatever it is, who am I? What am I? What is this for? And as you ask that question and you ask it with sincerity, the answer will be given to you. I can only say that is definitely the truth. If you ask with sincerity, when the Son asks, the Father always extends the truth. The truth is always here. We are saved, actually. It's not that you have to be saved, but while we are still in the movie, while we're still in the dream, while we're still acting out our little small roles, without saying, is there another way of looking at this? And that's pretty much how the Course got started. There must be another way of looking at it, and the Course is another way of looking at it. Yeah.
Yeah, and it is kind of an amazing story how the Course came into being, and we'll put that on the back burner for some later edition because it is a miracle unto itself. Now, Dave, you're very active within the Course community. If people want to get in touch with you and find out about what you're doing, or they have questions about A Course in Miracles, that sort of thing, how are they going to be able to get in touch with you?
Well, we do have a room on the Internet which is open pretty much 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It's at acimgather.com. That will give you the instructions on how to get to us, acimgather.com. We have a radio station that's on 24/7. I think that you have a program on that on Mondays at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. And that's where people come to develop trust that they are among the teachers of God. I'm also found on Facebook under David Fishman, of course, David Fishman and Dove Fishman. I have a group with some 30,000 light light workers are called Open Minds for ACIM, which is A Course in Miracles, and NTI. Please come join us. We'd love to have your path and your light share with all the blessings of that group. So those are the easy ways of finding me. And I guess if you want to call me directly, I do some counseling. You can call it 914-969-3393. I'm happy to do the first session just to see. First session is always free, just to see if you want to continue. So I'm always available to everyone, literally.
Well, it has been a wonderful discussion here with you, and we're going to boogie out of here, but stick around. Next week we're going to have more material around A Course in Miracles and shamanism and all kinds of interesting things. So, namaste.
Thank you so much, Chris. Thank you.
Thank you, Dave.